All right, mic check, mic check. I think we're all situated here just like that. We're live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching this live or watching it back, I do appreciate you very much. Oh, got the side one going. But yeah, just getting situated here, getting everything pulled up. Hope everyone had a good day, hoping a good week, good month, life, all that good stuff. Where's my laptop? Just getting situated. Definitely gonna touch on GameStop just because it's not in the title. You might be wondering, like, oh, this guy's not gonna talk about GameStop today. But just trying to diversify the stream a bit and get into some other things. Don't get me wrong, I still love GameStop and coffee, donuts, and Homer. Thanks for being here. This that would be a good idea if GME had a buy a bear section in the stores. The little kids who buy the bears would grow up to be gamers. It would pull parents in the stores too. Yeah, no, that's definitely a great point. I know we discussed last stream like the potential of GameStop buying out Build-A-Bear or doing some kind of acquisition of them. We were looking at the company a little bit because if you search Build-A-Bear on the web, right, like you just type in Build-A-Bear on a Google search, the obviously Build-A-Bear website will come up, but if you look at the little icon next to it, it's like the GameStop player icon. So I found it to be interesting. I take it with a grain of salt though, although I kind of feel like maybe something's coming, right? Like I'm not trying to create this idea like, oh yeah, like this is definitely gonna happen. Like I don't have any evidence of that. Excuse me. The only things I'm seeing are one, what you see when you Google search it. So maybe that was accidentally done premature by like a marketing team or something, and it's like a acquisition that's in the works, right? Again, just theoretically here. But you could also see like some of the like corporate careers and see I saw like Kevin Malone posted GameStop's looking for an M&A account specialist, merger and acquisitions, oversee merger and acquisition accounting and annual impairment analysis and other quarterly technical needs. So that could be something, but again, I like to take it with a grain of salt. It's very possible that it means absolutely nothing. But I figured for fun here, we'll go to GameStop careers to start out just to see what exactly they have. So let's see. Summary: Auditors independent global function responsible for providing insurance advisory services covering all companies, businesses, and operations. Audit is a critical component of GameStop's control and risk management infrastructure. Successful professionals group will demonstrate a strong understanding of the business, build strong work relationships with business partners, and deliver value as services strengthen efficiency and effectiveness for global processes. So it's basically auditing. Let's see, anything with merger? No. And I was sorting by most recent. Let's see, corporate, or I guess I could look here, M&A account specialist, global controller. No, nothing. I just keeps trying to search in mergers, see if anything pops up just off the bat here. But a corporate global controller is responsible for leading global accounting functions, SEC reporting, technical accounting, accounting policies, and consolidation in corporate accounting. This position will be a key business partner to senior management, external auditors, and outside vendors. The role reports to the principal financial and accounting officer. Accurate reports, delivers the annual form filings like Form 4s, 10Qs, oversee merger and acquisition accounting and annual impairment analysis and other quarterly technical needs. So, you see a post like this and you think, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something going on here. Yes, maybe. But then when you look at the job description as a whole, that's just one tiny part of it. Again, it could be something more major, but when you look at this as a whole, and that's why I have to kind of go directly to the source sometimes, it is just a small part of this. And it could be part of something bigger, but again, it's just a small part of it. So it says oversee merger and acquisition accounting and annual impairment analysis and other quarterly technical needs. But they're also hiring for this position to just have to do with all form filings, like with legal, finance, tax, treasury, and other stakeholders to achieve responsibilities, prepares audit committee materials to review financial statements and other audit committee matters, owns the development, launch, and training of accounting policies worldwide, ensures material and significant transactions are evaluated based on U.S. GAAP and SEC rules for appropriate accounting treatments, prepares white papers to support and implement appropriate accounting policies to support treatment, advise business and other stakeholders on accounting rules and regulations timely, corporate accounting ownership of a chart of accounts, approval process of a natural account, collaborate with tax, treasury, finance close matters. So there's a lot of different stuff going on here. So I take it with a grain of salt. That's just me. You're definitely more than welcome to think whatever you'd like. It's definitely something I'm a big proponent of. I think it's important to think individually for sure. But at the end of the day, it's always okay to speculate. That's my opinion, at least. Some people get annoyed for some reason when people speculate, but that is what it is, right? Like, can't control the way everybody thinks. But that's just a little bit on that. And I don't know if you guys saw it yesterday. If you don't already, if you could just follow me on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it these days, at Tetron Invest. What is CandyCon? Kind of just put together a little thread, pretty similar to. Ooh, this is my Palantir research. Where is it in here? GameStop stock, CandyCon. Open a new tab. So pretty much I tried to put everything I put in here, which I went through in a previous stream, like in that article right there. Or I guess not article, but thread or string of tweets. So I kind of put that all in one here. The attachments I mentioned, 3 different ones, and you got some pictures of the products here. Base unit $34.99, faceplates $9.99, thumbstick covers $3.99, D-pad $3.99. All 3 attachments in a combo pack for $14.99. Pre-made controllers for $49.99, and I just kind of shared my additional thoughts. Our PlayStation Xbox controllers next. Potential of collaboration with individuals or other brands. Packaging is very appealing. What's next? Those are just my initial thoughts I had. And I said it'll be interesting to see how the private label brand evolves. It's also worth noting this LinkedIn post from Member Games' private label team. It's not over yet. The next big thing is around the corner. I wonder if this implies more to come with CandyCon or more to come in terms of private label items. Maybe the answer is both. Time will tell. Thanks for reading. Let me know what you think the company will do next. Of course, I brought out a lot of the bears. Oh, you think just making controllers is going to get this company back to profitable? You're delusional. GameStop apes this and that and blah, 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 right? Bears are going to say what they're going to say. Bulls are going to say what they're going to say. And time will tell. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't expect GameStop to do something just extraordinary out of nowhere. I think whatever they do is going to take time and it's going to take a lot of trial and error. And I'm personally okay with that. I understand the concept of opportunity cost, where I would say the biggest thing I'm losing out on, or the biggest issue, I guess you could say, with being invested in GameStop right now is opportunity cost. Like theoretically, your opportunity cost is not, you don't lose money till you sell an asset, right? So while I haven't lost anything, obviously I'm down on positions I purchased previously, but until it's realized, it's an unrealized gain, which means it's not officially a loss. And with that being the case, like what you're losing out on is opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is, hey, if I invested the same money over the same period of time, then how much would I have made? And I guess you could argue like high interest rate savings would have been paying out better, or certain individual positions. But I view it as like a long term thing where I'm worried about where everything's going in the long term. And looking back in hindsight, it's going to be irrelevant, like whether you got in at 10, 15, 20, and that's my opinion, right? Compared to what I believe the company's going to be worth in the future. And I think just the nature of it and a lot of the unique things that have happened with it is also a lot why I believe in it. And I understand that sounds like tinfoil and craziness to some people, but I say don't believe it, just watch. Who said that? What's that song? It's like, don't believe me, just watch. But yeah, like don't believe it, just watch, right? But for some reason, there's a lot of people who are very, very loud, right? They're very, very passionate about hating on GameStop. And I think that comes with anything that a lot of people love. There's usually a lot of people that hate it, right? It kind of goes on both ends. But in a way, that's all good because it sparks the conversation and it keeps the topic ongoing. It keeps the discussions ongoing. And I'm all right with that, honestly. Like, I understand, everyone's going to have different perspectives and you just got to live with that. You just got to live with that. I don't know why people get so upset on one side or the other. There's definitely bears. They're like, you could tell, like, there's certain people that comment on my stuff consistently, and like, they don't realize, but they're literally helping me grow Tetron. Like, so I appreciate that. But then there's also like bulls on the other side of the coin who like fight like tooth and nail to defend GameStop, and I just think, like, you know what, whatever. People can say whatever they want, right? And like, don't get me wrong, I'll do a little roast here and there, but I'm pretty passive and just like, okay, you think I'm wrong? Okay, thanks for sharing. Like, I don't know. It just truly doesn't affect me. Like, I don't, like, I think people are commenting, oh, we're gonna get him this time. Like, people who comment consistently, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna get Tetron riled up today. Good luck. But Tetron, I hope today's Gme price increase was not due to another Ryan Cohen buy, and I own some PL TR stock as well. Jackson's, thanks for being here. Was not due to a Ryan Cohen buy-in. It's possible. that it was, possible that it wasn't. Although I thought I saw something about the insider window closing, but again, I'm just truly very zen where even a 7% move, like okay, I don't really care, like in a way, because I'm just so like numb to any short-term volatility with the company, and I just understand what it is, what's at stake for the company, where they're trying to go, and the kind of challenges that are ahead. And I'm just all right with it. So I'm truly numb to it, and I can genuinely say I barely check the stock price during the day. I actually look at other stock prices more, I would say, than GameStop, such as like Palantir or some cybersecurity stocks that I keep an eye on. But Palantir, I think what they're doing, just to quickly touch on it here, like I do research on other companies. I just don't share it as much on here because I'm just the most familiar with GameStop, and now I'm really just starting to get into talking about other things. But on my Palantir canvas, God, this thing gets so confusing sometimes. Just putting together a lot of stuff, I'll put all their different numbers, CTO interview, the AI Con had some good insights. So I started taking some notes, and just a lot of their partnerships and what is it, the boot camps. So this is really the thing that stands out to me for the company right now in terms of Palantir. Boot camps is essentially, oh my gosh. Palantir Artificial Intelligence Platform, AIP, enables new and existing customers to dramatically accelerate high-value AI use cases. To meet the intense requirements of the moment, we've introduced AIP boot camps. In these immersive hands-on keyboard sessions, participants can expect to go from zero to use case in just 1 to 5 days. The results speak for themselves. Our partners have been able to solve problems that they've been struggling with for years in a matter of days. They're able to build their own intuition and skill set to be able to independently identify and execute on AIP use cases in subsequent weeks. AIP boot camps are also fun for all involved, as well as winning tends to be. We are growing a backlog of AIP boot camps due to the overwhelming demand. In order to make most of the time we have together, I wanted to share some early learnings our partners are finding about these sessions so effective. I provide an opportunity for MCBC IT to not only understand the foundation aspects of Gen AI, LLMs, or hype around it, quickly pivot to the leverage, blah, blah, blah. But basically, how it works, no barriers to entry, fully integrated and interoperable. It's enterprise grade software that's equipped your handleable sensitive data private fingertips. Learn to fish, eat a fish isn't about abstract learning or using pre-baked apps. Bootcamps enable participants to tackle their real use cases today while developing the institution and skills to build independently moving forwards. Plenty to both. Move from chat to automation. Experience with ChatGPT before. Many start with the mental model of a chat style experience, but AIP bootcamps participants quickly realize that non-algorithmic compute use of AI revolution reaches far and beyond chat. So what I'm trying to make AI your own, define your AI infrastructure empirically, any industry, any function. But basically, what these like AI boot camps are, right, is just a trial run a company can do. And he talks about it a little more in this letter here and just get some overall notes from Q4 if you're curious. But really, boot camps are a delivery mechanism for AIP. And really, the boot camps is like a trial run for these companies where they're going to be able to implement Palantir software to suit their business and see how it goes. And they do a boot camp just to try it initially. And then they sign like an initial contract, which is generally smaller. But with the high retention rate that it appears Palantir has and the way the technology is evolving and companies realizing they need their own AI just to keep up with competition in a lot of cases. So it says 2 years ago, they did 92 boot camps / trial runs, whereas last year, mostly the second half of the year, they did over 500 because that's when this product launched. Expect some confidence in products, what it means for the business. October 23, they set a goal of executing 500 boot camps in a 1 year span, which was accomplished in only 4 months. So I think that really just shows you the demand for the product. And also, a lot of these companies are going to sign smaller deals. And then once they get through that and they see the use case for it and they've really implemented it into their workflow, then they're going to sign an extended contract over many years. And it's going to be a lot of like incremental income for Palantir. Not incremental, but well, I guess, yeah, incremental on a consistent basis. And you see that a lot with like cybersecurity stocks. So I read a lot about Palantir and I'm sorry, not Palantir, Fortinet, which I started this canvas, but I haven't got too much on it yet. But really, Fortinet, what they do is they have a lot of like contracts, right? Considering their cybersecurity. So with cybersecurity, it's on a contract basis. And in having these contracts with these companies and cybersecurity ever evolving, there's more they need to do, and they just keep growing these contracts, and they recognize revenue like period by period. And it's really about, for like companies such as Fortinet or Palo Alto or some of the other names you hear with cybersecurity, it's really about the contracts because they recognize revenue over time. It's not like GameStop's business model where somebody goes in the store, buys something, boom, it's recognized. It's contracts, okay, boom, the quarter comes, this revenue is recognized for this quarter. So it's about growing those contract values and expanding the contracts as well and finding new customers. But that's a completely different topic here. And as anybody that knows that watches Tetron, I tend to just go off on random rants and just go on random topics. But yeah, DB, thanks for being here. Good afternoon, brother. Looks like the bottom might be in for the stock price. Eh, Ryan, it very well could be. I mean, looking at where the company's now or looking at the share price, I finally found a better, where was it? Here, because I was going to use it for Bitcoin later, but we can just go back. So much cleaner. So much cleaner. What is it? Just tradingview.com? Oh, so nice. It could be. We got this little jump here. In the past, we've seen it make this jump. And then, I mean, this was earnings, and this was earnings as well. So it's kind of varied. I mean, GameStop's chart is always all over the place, right? But it seems like we could be in for a bottom. Historically speaking, anytime there's been a bottom here, here, or here, we've seen a fairly large candle, and then it's kind of trended up a little bit. But we've also had like false, what do they call it? Not false breakout. Yeah, I guess a false breakout where you have a situation like that here. Here, you have a situation where it dropped right after earnings and then climbed right back up and then dropped steadily right back down after. So it could be. I mean, also you just got to think like the lower it goes for the company, the more percentage wise, right, of their per share is in cash. So where it stands today, with 392 per share in cash, like per the last quarterly report or annual report in this case, right, for full year 2023, more than 1/3 of the current stock price is available in cash per share, and their long-term debt is so minuscule, right? Like their long-term debt per share is probably literally like broken down to be like 2 cents per share, if I had to imagine. Um, Probably maybe even one, because it's such a small amount. But there's still work for GameStop to do. There's still more execution to take place. I really want to see them do more private label brands, but the potential of an acquisition does sound exciting. And it's not going to be a certain stock that is kind of gone. I mean, is gone, and that people say, "Oh, you don't know, is the secret super mega triple quadra super merger that nobody's going to see coming, and Ryan Cohen's going to save the day," right? I don't see that happening. What I see is a strong management team that GameStop has now, and they have the ability to determine, like, okay, if we make an acquisition, is this suitable? And that's where it comes down to believing in the management team, because I believe in them to make the proper decision to choose if an acquisition is worthwhile. And for all we know, there could have been an acquisition that was on the table that eventually just fell off, right? Like maybe both sides couldn't come to an agreement on a price per share or just overall valuation. There could have been tons of reasons potentially a previous deal fell through. Maybe there was something else major that was supposed to happen in like 2023 or even late 2022. But some way or another, the deal fell apart. It could have been the other side. It could have been GameStop, some kind of contingency. Who knows, right? But what I'm saying is, if they do make an acquisition, I believe in the management team to make a good decision where it's going to be able to be integrated within the business and it's going to remain in line with their goal of being consistently profitable. And talk is cheap, it takes money to buy whiskey. So they have to execute upon that, and whatever they would do in terms of an acquisition, we would have to see that in future reports. And that's where you get like some of the speculation here that they're hiring an merger and acquisition account specialist. But again, if we go back here, it's just one really small part of this job hiring: oversee merger and acquisition accounting and annual impairment analysis and other quarterly technical needs. While I'd love to believe this position is to primarily be doing the accounting of a merger or acquisition of some kind, I think the reality of it is this is like an overall position. But again, it could be something more than what we see at face value. But I think it's better to just like temper expectations, understand like this could just be a job, right? Or maybe some other executive just left recently for another career or whatever the case, and now they need to fill this hole, right? But at the same time, maybe it's something where they do have demand for something they're looking to do. But also, if you go through all the job responsibilities and duties, like there is a large amount listed here. So Tesla and GME have the most passionate haters of all takers. You're exactly right, Ryan. You're not wrong at all. It's so true. And I will talk about Tesla in a little bit here in a few minutes. I was actually going to touch on Meta first, because they just reported earnings, and it's crazy the amount of volatility that we see these days. Like, look at this. Where is it? So we have GME. Let's go back. Give me Meta. Oh my gosh, like such a large amount of market capitalization. Oh, they don't have after hours on here. But over here, look at this. Breaking news, Meta stock has now raised 240 billion in market cap after earnings, down as much as 19%. If Meta closes at current levels tomorrow, it will mark the biggest ever one-day loss of market cap by a stock. The previous record, also held by Meta, when it shed 232 billion in 2022, and that's when they were over focusing on the metaverse and spending a lot on that. And then that's kind of where investors got weary, like, yeah, we're getting out of this, or just overall fell off happened. But this time, the numbers, just briefly looking at them, excuse me, they didn't look too bad, just not quite in line with expectations. And just also when you have a situation where you have a stock like Meta that's run up for so long, for such a consistent period of time, like, look, this is back since the start of 2023. It's just been pretty much a straight line up. And even after last earnings, we saw the big jump they had. So unless they absolutely blew expectations out of the water, like completely unforeseen amazing numbers, like I feel like this was pretty likely to happen. But what's crazy is the market cap size of it's falling off. Oh, okay, you do have the post market right here, towards the bottom right where my cursor is, probably right above me, because I'm right down here. But down 15%, like that's just an insane amount of market capitalization to lose. Like literally over $200 billion, just like that, from an earnings report. And that's naturally going to happen as there's just more money flowing into the economy. Everything's just getting bigger and growing more over time. Like it's just becoming more of a reality. But I never thought, something with such a large market cap would make such dramatic moves. But at the same time, I don't think Apple would ever make this kind of move, and they're a very large market cap. They're even bigger than Meta, so is Microsoft. But then also I see something like this and I'm like, you know what? Like, who knows? One of those could move 15%. But it just seems like something that only a couple of years ago, people always, like, I feel like it was a general consensus that if something was like a large enough market cap like that, or gets to be that large, it's generally more of a value play, and generally it's going to be a lot of holders and not just volatility within it. I mean, I'm kind of just spewing a bunch of information out here, but it's just crazy when a stock could go from 528 to 418 like that, and it's literally one of the largest companies in the entire world. And that's just the world we live in now. But why are people saying you're talking shit drama? Meagle? Me? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure who's saying that. Or if you were just saying like people were saying it like on here, like in replies to CandyCon, which I was showing before. I mean, hey, that's just the way it goes, right? Not that I'm aware of. I haven't shit talked to anyone that I know. I wonder what the next criticism of after achieving revenue growth on top of profitability. Ryan, me too. And it'll be, oh, well, there's better plays. Bitcoin is better. There's other opportunities of up and coming companies. Why would you want a slow, boring turnaround play? There's nothing flashy happening here. I feel like those are the kind of things that can be put out. But Tetron, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Ken, long time no see, man. Hope you're doing well as well. But yeah, just chilling out here, trying to not find myself. That sounds dramatic, but just keep improving myself, do the little things right. Keep an eye on GameStop, keep an eye on everything going on in the economy, Bitcoin, different stocks, just improving my personal habits, right? Like I'm really trying to eat better, just be more physically active, just do all the small things right, right? Like I'm just realizing over time doing the small things right is so impactful for the long term, and it just when you do the small things right, it just makes like doing bigger things seem not as difficult, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And Wendy, I just realized I missed you. Hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for being here. It's crazy. People invest in SPY for 10% annual gains, but the magnificent seven companies move uh, up or down 15% off quarterly earnings these days. Yeah, no, literally, Ryan, literally. It's actually insane. And moving on here, another insane stat. Like if you look at Meta's earnings, and it is funny they named it Meta, but now like still everybody calls it Facebook. The family daily active people stat, DAP. Usually it's daily active users, but they define daily active person DAP as a registered and logged in user of Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and or WhatsApp, collectively our quote family of products, who visited at least one of these family products through a mobile service application or using a web or mobile browser on a given day. So I guess if you open any of the family of apps even once during the day, they count it as a daily active person, but that's insane. 3.24 billion. Isn't that literally almost half the world's population? Isn't the world population like 8 billion right now? I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually insane. And that many people are using Meta products. Like, it's just nuts. But, and then also, if TikTok gets banned, which is supposedly going to happen, right? It just got signed by Biden, where within 270 days, ByteDance either needs to sell TikTok or they just need to remove it from the marketplace, right? So they'll most likely sell it, but ByteDance, based on the previous like court sessions and what the CEO said, I'm from Singapore, Senator. So if you have any affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party, I'm from Singapore, Senator. How about this with the I'm from Singapore, Senator. Like that's literally what he just kept saying. But those clips were funny. But yeah, if TikTok goes away, then these numbers will probably even go up more. Then that'd probably be good for Meta stock, right? But overall, it's crazy. They rose their revenue 27% to $36 billion, up from 28 billion. Just absolutely ludicrous numbers, right? And it's all advertising, and advertising is digital now, and social media is arguably the best place to do it. So it just makes sense why the demand is there and why the numbers keep going up for Meta. But I really like this tweet, and you guys will see. I should probably learn how to say it since I'm always showing it on here, but I feel like this account always puts out good stuff. The Kabiesi letter. I'm definitely saying it right. I'm the worst at pronouncing stuff, but the Kabiesi letter, we'll just say that for fun. Markets this month. Meta beats earning expectations, stock down 10%. Tesla misses earnings expectations, stock up 10%. And that just goes to show the market is always forward looking. And Meta, considering its performance over the past couple months, where to have it here? Yeah, get out. What is this? Why can't I remove this? Is there a way to X this out? I don't want to join for free. Okay, boom. Like look at this chart. It's just going up and up and up. Whereas if you look at Tesla, it's just been going down and down and down. So when something changes like the forward-looking expectations, that's why you see this kind of thing take place between Meta and Tesla, right? I mean, these are just one example on one side or the other. There's definitely far and few between, or there's definitely a lot in between where it's like expectations are put a little bit higher than expected going forwards, and then that boosts the stock. But then also sometimes the expectations are a little bit higher than expected, but the market almost doesn't really believe the expectations. That's kind of the thing that gets priced in sometimes. So, markets are unique though. And there's also just a lot of factors when the reality of it is that individuals can't control, and that has to do with market makers and the DTC and just overall market structure, right? But that's the whole thing in itself. But moving on, markets price out 4 rate cuts. Gold goes to a record high. Gold hits an all-time high. Bond prices hit a 6-month low. Geopolitical tensions worsen. Bitcoin price crashes, and also, the price not crashes but declines. Also on the back of just more money being printed. Another 90 billion ish dollars is about to be sent to various other countries, and just more government spending, right? And just means the deficit will get larger. There's going to be more inflation and more dollars created. And I was going to get to this a little later, but might as well show it now. The interest as percentage of gross domestic product is starting to go up a lot. And I think we're going to see it kind of go straight up in the next year or two. And yeah, it's just crazy that this is how it all works. Like when you learn how economics work, you're like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And then what was that one video going around of the blonde girl? She's like, I should be president. I can fix everything. We just gotta print more money and do this and do that, and it's all gonna be good, or something like that. Like just clearly, unfortunately, no economic knowledge, right? And it kind of just shows you the state of like the average American kid's education these days, which is unfortunate. Like I laugh, but it really is like concerning. But with all that being said, I think as long as the dollar is being printed, as long as the U.S. is running a deficit, that Bitcoin in the long term is going to be worth more. Because also, I think people are just going to want a store of value. And when you look at what's happening with the yen, you already see it where it's like conversion rate to the U.S. dollar. Like you're getting less. Like if you have yen, and you try and convert it to the dollar, you're getting less and less U.S. dollars, right? And if you also looked at the yen to Bitcoin versus US dollar to Bitcoin charts, you can see that the yen right now to Bitcoin, like it's way higher. Like if you put the charts next to each other, you can see that if you had bought Bitcoin 5 years ago, if you had converted like 100 yen to Bitcoin and then 100 US dollar, I guess it's not the same amount of US dollars and yen to Bitcoin like a few years ago, the yen converted version would be worth more because the yen is just falling in value. So it's really hurting like Japanese citizens in the long run. But again, just another random example. Mortgage rates rise, house prices push higher. Nothing adds up here. Broken markets are often the best ones with the most opportunity. Return of volatility means more space, more opportunities to trade. Volatility's back and get worse as years progresses. Kind of just plugging themselves here, but it's true. When there is like quote unquote broken markets or things that don't make sense, that's usually where opportunity arises. And I think GameStop's an example of that. I understand people don't think that, but I think the market's just not properly pricing what it is. And I believe in the long term it will correct. It might take a long time, it might take a lot of execution from GameStop, but I'm okay with that. I know what I hold. I understand what the company stands for. I understand where they're at, where they're trying to go, what's going on underlying with the stock, and that's just where I'm at personally. And the reality of it is, not everyone's gonna be all right with that, but it is what it is. And then I also just want to pull up like the debt. Literally you can see the debt by day on here, which is just crazy. So total public debt is now at 34.5. And if I always like to just look back a couple months where it was 34.3, so it has slowed down. And this is a very short period of time. This is literally just March 1st, but the farther you go back, right, like the more you see the numbers going up. So let's go back to 1 year ago. 1 year ago today, total debt public debt outstanding, right? All of the United States debt, 31.4 billion. Fast forward today, 34.5. So that's a literally like 10% increase, right? Yeah, about 3 point something billion, about a 10% increase in just a 1 year span. And when you have a situation where the federal deficit just is not going anywhere, right? What deficit means is just, let's say, retreat from Fed. Yes, I thought there's going to be an official definition here, but pretty much just means total taxes we bring in, like total amount of money the government brings in, minus the total amount spent. If you spend more than you bring in, you have a deficit. And for a long time now, we've had a consistent deficit, and there's no sign of it stopping. And when you see something like we saw today, where a $90 billion spending package gets passed, this deficit's only going to worsen. And with elevated interest rates, you only need to take out more debt to pay off the old debt. And it's just a snowball. And essentially, as Peruvian Bull on Twitter puts it, and I'm sure he's not the only one that said this, but it's basically creating like a liquidity milkshake. And I'm really trying to like pound the table and tell you individual viewers watching this and just people around me that I know, you need to own assets. I don't care if you don't believe in Bitcoin. I don't care if you don't believe in GameStop. I don't care if you don't even want to invest in the S&P. Find something you believe in and accumulate that asset. Have gain understanding of that asset or various assets and accumulate your wealth into those assets, because owning assets is becoming so important for the average individual as purchasing power is just being inflated away. And I realize like I'm very fortunate to recognize this at a young age where I don't have a ton of expenses because of where I'm at currently. So I'm really trying to save as much as I can for when I move out, although that's kind of counterintuitive to what I'm saying right now. But at the same time, I'm investing in assets. Like I believe in Bitcoin, I believe in GameStop, I'm putting into the S&P. That's just something I always do consistently on a long-term basis. I believe in Palantir, I believe in Fortinet cybersecurity, got a tiny bit of Palo Alto. So really, I think cybersecurity is here to stay. So that's why I believe in it a lot. There's always going to be demand for it. But really, what I'm trying to say is figure out like what assets are best for you to own, because owning assets is going to be so important, because everything that's taking place, like it's just snowballing faster and faster and faster. And it's going to, people are going to wake up one day and be like, oh my goodness, like what the heck is going on? And my theory is that it's going to become the normal in the future for individuals to own Bitcoin, where it's gonna be a situation where you just know, like, okay, like inflation is the normal. Like my dollar is gonna have less purchasing power 1 year from now than today. So I think owning Bitcoin will be more socially accepted and more socially discussed. Like, oh yeah, like oh yeah, another more money's. We just I guess people wouldn't talk about the economic side of it, but just seeing that, like, huh, this same pair of glasses, right? By the way, if you guys didn't know, I do wear glasses, but I actually just wear contacts every day, pretty much. So I'll wear these at night though. But what I'm trying to say is people just grasp the concept of, huh, I was going to buy these glasses last year and they were $400. And now when I just went to buy them, they're 600. What the heck? And then you wait one more year, then they're 850 and you're like, "Wait, what?" And I think when the average person starts to see that, that's where they start to see the need to have a store of value. And I think that's what's happened in some what do they call it, like third world countries where they're very underdeveloped, and whether it be poor decision making by the government or corruption where they just print the currency aggressively, those people are really screwed and they flock to Bitcoin, right? For example, Argentina, before, I think it was them, yeah, before this new guy like took over, basically their currency was being inflated away very much, and people were able to put their money in Bitcoin and actually like hold their value of what they earned, because the currency was just inflated away like an insane amount. I think it was Argentina, or no, I think it was Venezuela. That's the example I'm thinking of. So I think if the average person just starts to see that, that's where Bitcoin becomes more relevant. And then in general, people say, okay, well, maybe I should own gold. Maybe I should be getting into stocks. I think more and more people start to realize that, because it impacts like their day-to-day lives. And we might still be years away from that. But when you see all of these trends continuing, like the government every single year reports a deficit, we print more money, interest rates are elevated now. So debt being issued to pay off old debt is being issued at a higher rate. So the snowball is just getting bigger, and like a snowball, it gets bigger faster and faster and faster until it's like, oh my God, this thing is huge. So that's why I think you really have to prepare now. And even if you don't have that much knowledge, you're not sure what to do, just by even being aware of it and taking the steps to become knowledgeable and find assets to invest in, I think that really is going to go a long way in the long term. I mean, you guys, again, are more than welcome to disagree, but I really think owning assets is so important over the next decade, just with everything going on. And it says tomorrow, like another great post by Kabiesi. I can't even say it. I'm just going to call it the Kabesi letter. After this, I'm literally going to look up a pronunciation, because now I'm actually kind of annoying the shit out of myself about this. But I'll be like, Google Gemini or Chat GPT, how do you pronounce this? Right? That's the world we can live in, that you can just type that stuff in now. So might as well. I'll get it right next time. But with that being said, tomorrow we will receive the first GDP reading for 2024. It also happens to mark the most volatile quarter in over a year, with inflation on the rise and geopolitical tensions worsening. Prediction markets currently expecting 2.7% GDP growth to be reported. There's a 42% GDP coming in above 2.9% and 25% chance of GDP coming in above 3.3%. If we do in fact get a 2.7% GDP rating, it would mark the seventh straight quarter of 2+% expansion. Yet so many Americans continue to complain about how, quote, bad the economy is. Why is there such a big disconnect between the data and reality? And I think the short answer to that is just excessive money printing. As long as the money supply is increasing, then GDP, right? There's nominal GDP and then there's real GDP. So this is the nominal GDP as far as I'm aware. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but what is the real GDP looking like, right? Like some inflation adjusted, but then also even inflation is lagging. So any money being printed now, it takes time before, because money goes into the system and just with how banking works, right? It gets loaned out again, and that same dollar gets loaned out again and again and again. So it takes time before it starts circulating, right? So inflation is lagging to whatever takes place. And that's just how it goes. So while it seems good on paper, is it really? And I think people are complaining because they're struggling. They're not just complaining to complain, right? I mean, maybe some are, right? That's just the world we live in. We do have a world of a lot of people complaining a lot of stuff, but at the same time, a lot of the complaints are pretty valid in a lot of cases where it's like just people wanting to just live a normal life, just work hard at their job every day, just go on a couple vacations, live a simple life. It's just like it seems like living a simple average life is becoming more and more difficult to obtain. And yeah, I don't know. That's just where I'm at right now, but see, Ayo, sorry for being late. You're good, Joe. Thanks for being here. Thanks for popping in, man. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. It's like when you're late for church and have to sneak in and sit in the back. Exactly, Brett. Exactly. But thanks for being here. For what I'm hearing, you have a pretty similar portfolio to Tom Nash. He has convictions in Palantir, Fortnite, Bitcoin, etc. He's an ex-Wall Street and worked as an analyst. Yeah, Ryan, I'm familiar with him a little bit, but I actually didn't know he had any. I know he's a big Palantir guy. I didn't know he was Bitcoin or Fortnite. Like I watched him like a while back. I honestly haven't really watched him recently. The only recent one I watched was the one I had on here, and I don't even think I ever finished it. The Palantir right here, where he interviewed the CTO. But I give him credit where I remember watching when Palantir was down to like $10 a share, and he was like, "Yep, I'm still buying it. I'm still standing behind it. I'll ride or die until I see something. I don't like what they're doing. I still believe in this company." And look where they're at now. They've made a lot of progress. So I mean, that's just one example, and there's still a lot more. And one thing I do find concerning with Palantir is a lot of the insider selling, but there is a large amount of compensation to the individuals running the company. So some of it's for tax purposes, but at the same time, a lot of shares have been created since it went public. And by the way, it went public, if you guys weren't aware, there's something called a DPO, not an IPO. So it's a direct public offering. So it just went direct. Really didn't have institutions really didn't have a chance to get in. And then also, if you look at institutional ownership for Palantir, you can see. Oh my gosh, so annoying. You can see that a large amount of institutional ownership increased after the stock price had dipped significantly. Right, so a lot of the institutional ownership started to be acquired in here, right, in this slow period where the stock was down in the single digits. And now, they're starting to turn a profit and just be ahead. They've been ahead of the curve in terms of AI, right? Artificial intelligence. They've been talking about it a long time. And really, they've been playing the long game for a while. And it didn't seem like anything they're doing was really going to be worth it to like people in like 2021, or that was like a lot of the assumption. Oh yeah, like well they're never going to be profitable. It's mostly just a government contracts company, but they've now really come out ahead in my opinion, and that's part of the reason I believe in them, or a major reason. They've been working on a lot of this technology and understanding how the world was going to shift prior to it actually taking place. And I think GameStop's management team has that understanding as well, not in the same sector, obviously, not in the same sense, but I think they have understanding of how the gaming industry is evolving, and that's why they're trying to get involved in some different things. I mean, again, there's more they have to do, but I think they have a good, I always say like hand on the pulse, or like they have a good understanding of the pulse of the industry and where people are at, and that's going to give them the opportunity to be at the forefront of something that evolves in the gaming industry in some shape or form, right? And again, it still takes execution, and there's going to be the haters, right? That's just how it goes. But so, do you have magical powers? I'm John Lacey. It's true. I do have magical powers, right? Ready? I can drink this water ball in 1 second. I drank it. It's all gone. This is an illusion. There's no actual water in here. But yeah, I just buy, hold, and DRS. Yeah, Brett, that is the way. That is the way. Annie, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping in. But yeah, I'm just kind of rambling today, but just figured get into some different stuff. I do appreciate you guys being here very much. I know there's not much GameStop talk today, but I just want to talk about everything as a whole going on because there's just so much. And again, I'm really truly zen with my GameStop investment, so I don't have to look at it every day. Like obviously, I want to keep understanding more, but I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna let it ride. Like I understand what it is, where I'm at. So some other interesting information that U.S. stock buybacks continue to push to record highs. This year, buybacks expected to reach 1.15 trillion, according to Goldman Sachs. That's up nearly 16% from 2023. Year to date, we've already seen 317 billion of stock buybacks, less than the volume seen at this time in 2023. Corporations are buying back their stock like we are at the start of a bull market. Do not underestimate the power of stock buybacks. It's just one opinion. But here you have like year to date billions in billions. But you see, like 2015, there was a lot of buybacks, and then a lot over the past couple of years, which makes sense in a bull market. But what this post is saying is like we're still buying, like companies are still buying back as if it's like a super bull market, right? And same time though, you have some politicians and large wealth individuals selling companies, so it's kind of like, what does that mean? But at the same time, it's like I call it the forever bull market, right? That's what we've been in lately. So, oh man, what a world though, what a world. But I really think, as long as the dollar is being printed aggressively, Bitcoin is here to stay and it has value in the long term. I understand it's not for everybody, but I think if you grasp the concept and you also just understand what's happening with the US dollar, it starts to make a lot more sense, but then there's also other options for that. So obviously some people prefer like gold or silver, like some other type of commodities. That's fine. I mean, what is it like coca that's been going up a ton this year, right? Like coca beans. Yeah, coca futures, let's say. Insanity, right? Like imagine investing in coca beans. Like I don't even know what's going on with this, right? I've seen people talk about it, but I don't understand why exactly it's happening. Is a Hershey's bar about to cost like $10? Like, what's the deal with this? I don't know if anyone has any insight on that. But imagine just buying this even a couple of years ago. I mean, I guess it's futures and it's not that black and white, right? But what a world we live in, and just kind of scary when you see charts like this. It's like, is this going to start happening with all kinds of commodities, all kinds of assets? But then, you see stuff like the potential of unrealized gains being taxed. That could be disastrous because then people are just going to pull out of assets. Like, okay, well, I'm going to get taxed on the asset. Maybe I'm going to go invest in a foreign country where I'm not going to be taxed on unrealized gains, right? I don't think that's ever actually going to go through, but it's just crazy that it's even being floated. And the next thing I wanted to get into here, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Runes, the April 2024 update. It's a new protocol for Bitcoin, and basically it was set up by this guy Casey Rodermore. I'm not too familiar with him, but apparently he's a pretty well known developer in the crypto space. But pretty much it's created a simple protocol with minimal on-chain footprint. Are individual units associated with specific addresses to blockchain representing funds that have not yet been spent can be used as inputs in new transactions. Rudes is different than BRC20 token standard, which is complex and not UTXO based. The latter characteristic causes the BRC20 token standard to produce executive junks, UTXOs, which congest the Bitcoin network. The goal of Runes is to replace a less efficient ordinals based BRC20 token standard. So while I'm curious about reading all this stuff, like I'm not too into it. What I'm really concerned about is Bitcoin's like store of value and the strength of the network, that no individual can control it. Yes, an individual can buy a ton of coins, but no individual can control the network itself. Like it was put in place, it runs automatically, and basically this people can put in, right, like protocols. Like this was set up where it would be on block 840,000, which coincides with the Bitcoin halving that took place. This was prior to the Bitcoin halving this article was written. But where I found out about this and why it's interesting is it's really spiking like transaction fees for Bitcoin. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but if you're curious why are transaction fees so high right now, it's not necessarily the halving itself. It's actually this runes protocol that basically went live during the like 840,000 1,000th block of Bitcoin, which was the Bitcoin halving block. And moving on from that, just sticking on Bitcoin though, Jack Dorsey's block is building a Bitcoin mining system. Apparently, it's like 3 nanometers, which I was looking up is like extremely tiny. Basically, they're trying to make it so that it's much more efficient and it's smaller. And it says Block announced the completion of a 5 nanometer Bitcoin mining chip prototype. Wow, another thing I saw at 3, but still, nanometers are so tiny, pretty much in the same ballpark there, which is the same technology as Bitmain's S21 mining machine uses. This leads us to believe that 3 nanometer chips could achieve even greater efficiencies. Although chip efficiency has rapidly improved in the recent years as demand for Bitcoin has picked up, and just also with how NVIDIA has developed chips and just the quality and standard has risen very much in terms of chips as a whole. But it says what you have to understand though, like it rapidly improved in the recent years as demand for Bitcoin has picked up. The latest halving event on April 20th, which cuts the issuance of new Bitcoin daily by 50%, adds even more importance for faster mining speed as well as lower costs and enhances reliability. And you may have also been seeing like with the high fees right now that are on the Bitcoin network. Riot went up a bunch, was it yesterday? Because of the higher transaction fees. See, they've been rallying. Like there's a Bitcoin mining company, as well as Mara, another one. There's a couple other ones out there, like Hut or something like that. You can see this doesn't want to load for some reason. Oh yeah, I forgot I have this much nicer chart that we've been using today. Mara, and you can see, right, like since the news came out, like it's been pushing the price higher, but I mean, of course, every individual could do what they want, right? I'm not here to give you investment advice in any shape or form, but owning Bitcoin itself, right? Like if you zoom out, Amara, this was last time Bitcoin was at its all-time high. Or Bitcoin's all-time high actually occurred slightly after this previous all-time high, right? To the previous to the current cycle we're in. But there was so much dilution of the company in there. So even when we went back, right, to an all-time high, Mara was at such a lower level relative to where it was previously. So what you have to understand is when you're buying a mining company, yes, it may correlate the way the stock price moves, may correlate with how Bitcoin moves, but you have to understand like it's still a stock. There's dilution at play, there's earnings, and it's a company doing business. That's not Bitcoin itself. Yes, they own Bitcoins on the balance sheet, and yes, they are mining them, and right now they're earning higher transaction fees. You have to understand it's not Bitcoin itself. I think most people get that, especially now with the Bitcoin ETFs. I feel like that's also why these have less popularity in this cycle, because people who maybe didn't want to have an actual Bitcoin wallet or buy actual Bitcoin, maybe wanted some form of exposure or just trying to make some kind of trade. And that's maybe why we saw more of this taking place back here than we do in the recent months where Bitcoin's been rallying. But historically speaking, the halving has always been the most bullish indicator for GameStop, GameStop Bitcoin. But again, I want to be perfectly clear. That's not a guarantee. Like there's a possibility. Bitcoin's already hit its peak right now. It's going to be stagnant. It's going to fall off for a while before it goes higher in the future. And I personally don't think that's the case. Like I think it may dip a little. It might kind of hang around here for a while, but I think over the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to go to maybe 200-ish K, maybe closer to 3, maybe closer to 150. And again, don't take this as advice. I'm just throwing out numbers what I think it could get to, just because historically speaking, the halving has been the most bullish indicator. This time you have a lot of institutional investment. You have the ETFs just opening the door for more people to get involved with it. So that's why I see that being the estimated price cycle this time. But again, please don't blindly listen to me. I have no interest in telling you, like, in convincing you of that. Like, I'm just sharing what I think. Like, there's no interest in me saying, oh, you gotta think that. You gotta think that. No, that's just not how I roll. So that's just where my head is at. But Frank White, thanks for being here. When will Ryan Cohen do something to protect shareholders? Frank, I see where you're coming from with that, but where I see GameStop is really just them trying to do things brick by brick. I understand, CandyCon doesn't seem like anything flashy or overly special, but what it is just a step in the right direction. I want to see them do more private label stuff. And the unfortunate reality is there is, in my opinion, not much that you can do to fight the functionality of the stock market. it's the way it is. We've seen other companies come out with the narrative like we're fighting back against the short sellers, and look at what's happened with their share price. And what have they truly done? What have they truly accomplished? I think the best way to fight back and do well for shareholders is to lead the company to success and to execute in a way and succeed in a way where they're inevitably growing revenue and growing bottom line profit so that it simply cannot be ignored. I think that's the absolute best thing they can do in the long term. And again, I understand that might take years, that might take, I'm not going to say decades, but I mean, maybe decades to be really, really strong and much, much bigger and doing so, so much more, right? Obviously, a lot has to happen between now and then, but it's going to take time. That's just the reality of it. And I think, in my opinion, the best way they can fight back against anybody betting against it is to just drive the company to success and complete the turnaround, execute efficiently, make acquisitions where they see fit, maybe do dividends in the future, and they have to just really take it step by step, brick by brick. And the reality of it is, it's not a flashy investment. It's not ooh, look what they're gonna do, right? Whereas I would describe Palantir as more of a flashy investment, where they have this new up and coming product, or just the way the world's evolving into AI. Like they have great exposure to that and great opportunity to pounce on that and grow their business model from that. GameStop has to evolve their business and then find ways to expand it to play to their strengths and also just ultimately grow the numbers. And it might take time. It might take time, and I'm all right with that. But really glad to see this community could have talks outside GME. Just gotta let the tea brew and keep educating ourselves in the meanwhile. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly. You know, sometimes I hesitate to like talk about other things besides the GameStop because I feel like that's why most people follow me. But I do have interest in other things, and I want to talk about other things. And let me be perfectly clear, like I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and that's also why I don't want anyone to blindly listen to me. I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm gonna do my absolute best that when I make a mistake, learn why I made the mistake, why I misspoke, why I misunderstood something, whatever the case, and improve it in the future. And I think if everybody thought like that, everybody individually will become better investors. So really what this channel is and what Tetron is just my personal investment journey and just showing you guys how I'm growing as an individual as time goes on. And it's tough because, you know, I'm just putting myself out there and it's like, I'm basically just welcoming the criticism of people being like, you're wrong, you're an idiot, oh my God, right? But it's all right. I can handle it. I can take it. And I just want to keep learning. I understand, like I said, I'm going to make mistakes. There's going to be things I mess up. I don't quite understand right away, and I'm all right with that. I'm just making peace with it. I've made peace with it, and I'm going to talk about some other things because I am interested in other companies, in the other, you know, investments, just economics as a whole. Eventually, I want to maybe run some games. You know, I've been playing Terraria all of a sudden because my brother and cousin have been playing, so they got me playing. I've never really played. I had it when I was like younger, and I like really never played it. It just kind of sat on my Steam. So I've been playing with them recently and I'm having fun with that. So I'm like, maybe we should stream some games. But I don't know if I want to do that on this channel exactly. It is Tetron Invest. But yeah, you know, just figuring out where I want to take everything and just going brick by brick. I really do appreciate you guys being here on this journey and just joining me tonight. Like, it really does mean the world to me. And it's crazy. Like, I see someone like, what's that guy's name? Like, special teams, special players, special. I don't even know what it is. Special teams, special play. I don't even know. What's up, brother? Like, and I just see that. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. If this guy could do streaming and have all these people watching him, like, why can't I, right? And obviously, that's a very extreme example. But just when I see someone like that, I'm like, okay, anybody can do this streaming thing. It's just about wanting it bad enough. And obviously, I'm in a completely different realm of streaming than what's his name, Sketch. And I'm also, my friends call me Facebook because I'm always late to everything. I'm just finding out about this guy. Just a couple days ago, I realized what's up, brother? Like I heard people say it, and I was like, why is everyone saying brother lately? And I'm like, oh, this is like a thing. And yeah, hearing from like a friend's friend who's a teacher, he's like, oh my God, I hate that so much. It's all I hear in school with these kids. It's so annoying. So pretty funny. But yeah, I'm like Facebook. I'm always late to everything. You know, like Facebook always gets the memes last. So do I. But that's all right. Anything new about Build-A-Bear icon simple glitch? Ryan, yeah, I'm not too sure. I looked again today, like I just typed it in, and the same thing was there. And you know, I was saying a little bit before, you know, I saw this post like GameStop's looking for a merger and acquisition accountant specialist, but it's not exactly that, right? Like that tweet's a little bit misleading. You know, nothing against Kevin there, but oversee M&A, merger and acquisition accounting, and annual impairment analysis, and other quarterly technical needs. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Although I was saying before, I think it's better to just take it with a grain of salt. Think, okay, it probably means nothing, but there is potential. It could be something bigger down the line, right? Maybe. I don't know. But oversee M&A accounting and annual impairment analysis, other quarterly technical needs. That's just one bullet point of this entire list of essential job duties and responsibilities. So maybe it's just pure coincidence, right? Or maybe there's something greater there also with the Build a Bear thing. So I'm just keeping like the Build a Bear thing in the back of my mind, but it seems like an interesting concept, but at the same time, like I'm not expecting too much to come of it because it's just simply a picture changed on a Google search, right? When you type in Build a Bear, you see that little logo. It's just a little change. But it's also like that's such a strange coincidence, right? If it is a coincidence, what is that? Like I don't know. But at the same time, it does feel like it's time for GameStop to make a big move. It kind of feels like they've been so quiet for so long. And yes, they built CandyCon. And yes, they're trying to do some more of the private label stuff, but it's still not going to move the needle. Like they have to do more. And again, I'm okay with waiting. Like I'm in no rush. I understand what I have. I understand the situation as it is. And I'm just going to let it ride because I like the stock. I like the company. I believe in Ryan Cohen. But I also understand where some people are like, okay, what's going on? We gotta make some stuff happen here. So again, though, I don't want them to rush into anything and just make any sudden moves that aren't very well calculated. But at the same time, sooner than later, they have to make some kind of fairly large move, I would say. But how soon or how much later that is, I'll let you decide that because I have no idea. And I don't think anybody out there does. I think only upper management would for GameStop. And they're very hush hush. So reality is we wouldn't hear anything until something happens. So, but what a coincidence. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's all I got for today. I'm going to just keep talking about GameStop, CandyCon, see if anything else comes of it. I keep checking. Are there any more products coming out of CandyCon maybe on the website? I'd love to see that. I've talked in the past, maybe some collaborations, but I'd also really love to see them do more with the CandyCon brand and or do more private label stuff. Maybe a couple other private label brands to do some more gaming related merchandise or even technology related merchandise, right? And we'll have to see what comes. We'll have to see what comes. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out. I'm always looking what you guys are putting on there, both the good and the bad. So, yeah, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate you guys being here. But, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up for today. And hope everyone has a good night. Take care.